Presence, directed by Steven Soderbergh, follows a family of four who feels a strange presence in their home shortly after moving in. Soderbergh is known for being a champion of independent filmmaking, but he's also delivered big blockbuster films like the Ocean's 11 trilogy and the Magic Mike trilogy. And so going into Presence, all I knew was Steven Soderbergh was directing, and it would be from the point of view of the ghost, meaning the camera would always be in the first-person perspective. And from the opening scene, it makes this gimmick very clear. Now, to clarify, I don't mean gimmick in a bad way. Soderbergh takes a huge risk in making this ghost story completely from the perspective of the ghost. The camera swiftly travels across the home to show this family and their daily conversations. Sometimes this ghost presence does occasionally interfere with certain things, but they are very limited because they're in a different realm. This film is clearly not made to be terrifying, but rather a slow burn ghost story with really good characters at its core. Our unhappy married couple are played by Lucy Liu and Chris Sullivan. Both give good performances as experienced actors in the industry. Lucy Liu's character is obsessed with her athlete son while neglecting her daughter, while Chris Sullivan's character sympathizes with his young daughter who lost her best friend to a drug overdose. And so this is really the core of the different dynamics of this family. You have this student athlete, Jock, who's really popular at school, and this mother who's way too obsessed with her son, and a young girl who's just grieving the loss of her friend and her supportive father who's trying to not only keep his struggling marriage together, but also support his daughter. I really do think Chris Sullivan gives the best performance here. I thought the way he sympathizes with his daughter and also the different combative scenes he has with his wife are really effective and really stick with you. A close rival to the best performance was newcomer to a big film like this, Kalina Liang. Her performance showed a lot of vulnerability as one of the only people in the home who could actually feel the presence and interact with it day to day. I think she's a great young actress, and I hope to see her in more projects going into the future. But unfortunately, not all of the young actors really worked for me here. Her brother, played by Eddie Mayday, had some questionable acting early on in the film, but I do think eventually he kind of found the character and eased into the role, while Eddie Mayday's best friend, who was played by Wes Mulholland, really gave the worst performance of the entire movie. His line delivery was off, and mixed with some questionable script choices, created just a really bad performance for this kid. Speaking of the questionable script, I do think the dialogue could have been a little bit more refined. There are some points where it's just a little bit cringy or maybe certain dialogue just doesn't fit. But other than that, I think the script was good enough to really get me invested into these characters. This entire film would fall apart and would really be boring if you don't get connected with these characters. And I completely understand those people who sat down for the presence and absolutely did not connect with these people. But I was able to get invested enough into this family struggle that the eventual reveal at the end did land for me. But one of the most important characters in this entire movie is the actual camera. It's definitely a really jarring experience watching this movie and only having long takes with no cutting. Or the only cuts happen when we move on to a completely different scene, and there's absolutely no coverage shots of these actors. Sometimes it almost felt like an amateur student film when it comes to the style, but never in the execution. It's masterfully directed to service the story and the film's gimmick. Just sometimes the gimmick did get in the way of having quote unquote more traditional shots that you would see in a movie, so some shots of the movie do end up looking a little bit more amateur. I also want to add that sometimes, especially early on in the film, the way the camera was moving, it was a little bit jarring to the point where I kind of got dizzy, and it kind of looked like, the only way I can describe it is kind of a 0.5 effect on it early on in the film. Eventually, this kind of gets canned once we start seeing a little bit more of like character dialogue, but the way the camera was just kind of like swiftly moving through the house early on really made me a little bit dizzy. I think it's really refreshing to have Steven Soderbergh try something so unique and different, and the film has a really slow build-up with a haunting ending. The ending is really elevated by Lucy Liu's performance, and right after the reveal, the film immediately ends, leaving you haunted with the scream at the end. The Presence wasted absolutely no time with a quick and swift 1 hour and 25-minute runtime. It comes in and effectively tells a story about this broken family trying to pick up the pieces. It delivers exciting twists and turns, and leaves you with chills walking out. It's creative, fun, and original with some good performances and some questionable ones. I think Presence is the first 3 out of 4 movie of 2025. So there you have it. There are my thoughts on the brand new Steven Soderbergh ghost movie, Presence. Let me know what you guys thought down in the comment section below. Did this gimmick work for you? Did it not work for you? Were you just jarred? Could you connect to these characters? Because I completely see a world where I walk into the movie theater on the wrong day, and for some reason these characters just don't work for me. So let me know in the comment section below, and thank you guys so much for watching.